long, first of all.
First of all, for real, look, Val's already jumping in here. We get so happy. And it's funny now how, like, virtual conversations actually feel like a real connection.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm so excited.
For real.
We're so happy to have you here. These conversations we've been doing weekly with Val have just been amazing. And as we've listed people, like, that we would want to have conversations with, your name came up, and I'm just excited for Val to kind of deep dive into your journey and talk about your time from moving out here into community to where you are now. And so I know it's going to be a good conversation. IG only lets us have an hour, so I'm going to just jump right in with her to kind of get the conversation going. But you guys, Val will be paying attention, so if you put your questions in the question box, she'll go through those from time to time. So make sure you're submitting questions if you have more, and we'll try to get through everything. Okay?
Awesome. Thank you, Val.
Dude, how are you?
Dude, I'm good. How are you doing? I haven't talked to you in a while.
I know. I'm good. I'm doing really, really good. This has been like a nice change of pace. You know, like, we've been going for a minute at like full speed, so it's been a cool adjustment. I mean, obviously challenging, but good. There's still a lot of good that's coming from it. So seeing the positive.
Yeah. I was saying too, like, I feel like it's the world's way of being like, yo, all you guys need to calm down for a second, take a break. You know what I mean?
I feel you.
It's been a nice break though.
So we had actually some really cool questions submitted. I'm always really appreciative of people taking the time to, like, you know, be inquisitive and just like submit it. So thank you to everybody that submitted. And if you do have a question, you're joining us for the first time, you didn't get to submit it prior to the live, you can submit it now, and then I pull a couple questions from there. But I think I'm going to just start with this one, because I think it's important that it's kind of like a little introduction for you, and then for people, I think it's something that everybody wants to know. And if you want to have a professional career in dance, it's something I'm sure you're always thinking about. But how did you get your name into the dance industry? Because I know that you've obviously trained in studios, and you did a community team, and then obviously teach and everything. So what would you say for you was the biggest thing in diving into the industry?
I feel like when I moved down to LA, like, I moved down to LA, I swear it was like September 1st of like 2015 or something like that. And literally the next day I auditioned for GRV, and I was like, so it was like day one of in LA. I was like, I'm going for it. I was so happy to be here. And David Lim, really, he knew me from the Bay Area, and he was like, dude, you're so dope. I want you to, he saw some pieces I set with Chapkus, and he was like, I want you to work with the team. So community-wise, I started with, I was up with Chapkus in the Bay, and then when I moved down here, I was doing GRV stuff, which was kind of really cool to be in the community a little bit. And, you know, community and industry is so different, you know that. It's day and night, so I feel like that was really cool for me to jump into the community side. And then obviously with Will, he had I'm a Beast too. When I moved down to LA, I was just starting out. I actually hit him up in, like, after a class one time, and I was like, I just want to dance, like, that's all I want to do. And he was like, you can do my carnival. And it was kind of like a relationship after that. And then industry wise, you know, just getting an agent and just going on auditions and stuff like that. And but I wasn't really like an audition type of dancer. Like, I don't know, just auditions. You know, I feel like some people are direct book kind of dancers, and some are like, you know, auditions. And auditions just were very, very rough for me. I put a lot of pressure on myself, and it just really wasn't working. So just taking classes, making connections kind of that way was more of my thing. And just kind of, then when teaching came, I was just kind of putting myself out there and making connections, and people started like just kind of like, you know, seeing my work that way, and then hitting me up to do stuff like that.
Sure. Would you agree that if you're a dancer that also choreographs, there is a little bit of an advantage in people knowing who you are personally versus just knowing of you as a dancer? And I think that's one of the things that I've encouraged, like, some of our students, is that a lot of them want to have a voice and they want to create, but they don't put their work out there. And I think that that's another way to be seen, especially with the advantages of, you know, having social media and stuff, is that if people can kind of discover who you are through this, like, one click to your page, and they see all your creativity, I think that it's probably the more competitive way to get noticed, you know, and I think that it doesn't even need to come in the form of, like, doing stage choreography or working for an artist. I think it's just the fact that you're displaying your creativity and you're expressing it, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, at this point, our Instagrams, people don't even look at resumes anymore. People are asking for people's Instagrams. They look at it through that way. It's easy. They get like a 5-second introduction of who you are and what you bring. So not being afraid, not being afraid to put yourself out there for sure, and putting it in a way that obviously is likable as well. And just show your talent.
Right. I feel that. Okay, so I had a really good question from a student that asked, how do you distinguish which type of pieces or songs are more effective for stage versus class? And I thought that was a really, really great question because it's a difficult thing to understand. Typically, you pick a song because you like it or you vibe to it or you understand and you're connected to the musicality of it, right? But what would make that effective, And so in classroom, you have a little bit of grace of it not needing that type of like climax, right? But on stage, there has to be structure to it or a strategy, otherwise it feels flat. So what would you say is the thing that you kind of go to know the difference between how you create?
I think they both have a science to it, but I feel like on stage is a lot more broken down into science. Is the musicality right? Is it the song interesting? Is it dynamic? Will it keep the audience engaged? Is it hype? And can I do stuff with it? You know what I mean? And that stuff doesn't really go in with the class. The class vibe is more about like people want to have fun. It doesn't have to really have as much of a structure, I feel like. But depending on what you want to do in class too, it's like, are you going into class this week like, yo, I just want to have fun and I want to groove? Then just pick something that feels like that. Next week, it's like, okay, I want to feel something this week. Let's do an R&B thing. Like, I think with that, it's a little bit more open, but even within that, it's like, okay, this week I want to go viral, that has a science to it too, but I definitely feel like the stage is more broken down. You really have to think about your audience and what's gonna look good and musicality and everything.
I agree. That's actually so true. I think stage requirements are far more demanding than any other platform. It definitely comes with a standard of not just suiting your team and your group of individuals that you're creating for, but also it being appealing to people that you don't know.
Also being smart, thinking about what other people are going to do. Like, if you dance to freaking DaBaby, Suge, it's like, okay, well, 30 other teams are going to do that, and that gives you more competition and also is super boring. So there's a lot of different aspects to go into, like, what will work for stage and how to make your team stand out. And I feel like picking a theme and picking the music is like half the battle right there,
I feel you. I feel you. No, that's great. I hope that answered the question for Kenneth who asked, because I think that is something that can really benefit a lot of people just starting out and to be able to put their work out and wanting to do it in an effective way. Okay, so that's going to go into my next question that people are curious about is how you were able to actually grow your following and your platform in terms of the idea of going viral or the idea of putting out work in your classes and maybe even doing it in a certain style, like with heels and stuff. Yeah. Was there a strategy for you behind that, or was that something that was just kind of naturally or?
I mean, the strategy of putting stuff out, not being afraid, is definitely there, but I think not that you're not supposed to focus on the views, that's not what you're supposed to. That's a secondary thing that comes along. You have to create something new. You have to have a style when it comes, especially like a dance teacher. You have to do something that's new and that hasn't been done before. With heels, for example, there were heels classes before, 4 years ago. You know what I mean? Heels been going on forever, but with me, I feel like I got something that was different in heels that hasn't really been done before, and that's why, because I was doing hip hop classes for years before the heels. The fact I still look at my career and I'm like, I can't believe that I'm known for being this heels teacher because I always did hip hop. And but with heels, I really think I got into a lane that hasn't been done. I did something new. I combined different styles. I combined like an R&B feel or into like the heels world, and it was like, whoa, this is something different. I think you can look at anybody that's kind of blown up, like kind of like those overnight successes, it's always a style that we've never seen before. And, you know, whether it's Hollywood, whether it's Paris, whether it's Isabel, like these people have all done something that's kind of like new and fresh, and that really goes hand in hand into kind of that viral moment that you have. But then keeping it, you know, people get bored with the same thing. So, you know, always coming up with different stuff. But I feel like that's kind of how that happened with me, at least.
I feel that. I mean, there's so much that goes into these like types of blow ups and successes and stuff, but it's also just pushing yourself to come up with something that's like super interesting and not settling for something that's comfortable, you know. But
well, and dancers. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, you go. Yeah, you're good.
Oh, I was just gonna say, dancers, like sometimes they'll take from their people they look up to on Instagram or YouTube. You know, whether it was back in the day with Ian, where everyone was dancing like Ian, you know, and people were teaching classes like Ian, and it's like you can't just be a copy of. So you can get inspired, but I think a big thing that I try and tell people that want to start like teaching and choreographing is like, don't just be somebody else. Like, be inspired. That's totally fine. We're all inspired by everybody, but you really have to like focus on your own craft and your own voice and find something different that's about you.
Sure. Yeah. And believe it or not, I think if you're trying to build a career in this, either as a choreographer or a dancer, the idea of standing out is also being relatable too. Like you've got to figure out ways that can add assistance to people's lives that make it something better for them. So what are you putting out? What are you offering? What does this do to like kind of either grow the industry or the community you're in, or better like the lives around you? And I think when you start asking yourself questions as you're creating, as difficult and as maybe unnatural as that might be, because you just want to go, there is a strategy to having business. It's not just, you know, you can dance for fun, not work, not ask yourself any questions. But if you're looking to make this a career, you have to start applying the things that are going to get you to push through all the competition, and B, the idea of even, you know, being worth getting noticed for. So I think that it's important that they balance both of those things. Okay, so that leads me to ask you then, because I think it's the human side of us is always the thing that people, I think, feel the most relief from when they hear it. But your setbacks, what was like a setback for you that was just it was maybe a make or break? It was like fall into all of the, you know, the stresses, or to kind of push through it and, you know, come out better on the other side.
I mean, health wise, you know, having cancer, you know, anything that kind of messes with your health is such an eye-opening experience, because, you know, all of a sudden you realize how much of you don't have control of your life. You know, it really puts into perspective, just like, wow, I was sitting over here yesterday and I had this planned, and this is my future, and this is what I'm going to do. And then something like health hits you and you're just like, okay, like that, it really puts you in check. And I think I got through that whole thing so fast and so gracefully, as much as I could, that it really put into perspective, like, you really have a limited amount of time in this world, and you really, it's like, what do I want to do? You know, it just really puts it. It just really emphasizes, like, am I just going to spend another day being scared of doing something, or am I going to be worried about what other people think? So that was definitely a moment for sure. Definitely a setback. I was so sick for a while. And then I feel like career-wise, when Prince died, because Prince was the first artist that I worked with. Not only was he my first job, he was my first choreography job, first dance job, first everything. And he kind of like, it was such a surreal, different experience of working with other artists. Like, he was so much older, and like, he really kind of took us into like, try and give us freedom, but teach us stuff. And we were planned working with him for years. Like, he had a show we were gonna do, me and Antoine. We had this tour we were gonna do, all this shit, and then he died. And it was, not only was it losing, you know, obviously a person that I knew and created a relationship with, but it was like my whole work stuff just stopped. you know, and it was like back to square one. And I think that's something else that a lot of dancers in LA go through. It's like they'll go on tour for 3 years and then their artist doesn't want to go on tour anymore, and they're literally back to square one in LA, and that's a really scary thing as well. So that kind of pushed me into a way of creating a platform for myself, so I'm not depending on other people. Like something like quarantine happens, I can follow myself, and I have a platform that can sustain anything. I'm not relying on an artist or this or that to get me through. So those are probably the two significant things that happened.
No, that's incredible. And I feel like for you, it's almost like you were acting out of urgency once this kind of like awakening happened for you with getting sick and stuff. And I know that's kind of real for our situation at the lab, as Carrie was diagnosed with breast cancer about 5 years ago. And it was one of those things where it's like all of the stuff you plan and all of the stuff you're working towards, none of it matters anymore, because you just recognize how important it is to actually be healthy. Yeah. And you also recognize how important it is to be surrounded by people that actually care about you, not about what you can do for them. Yes. And so we really connected on the idea of healthy living and getting ourselves understanding that if we're not like at our best, like what good is that going to be for what we can do anyways? And then secondly, really how important your environment is. It's such a healer. So that you have to be really aware of either the toxic energy that's in your life or the fact that you could even be toxic and stuff. And so it just pushes us into this mindset of just it's positive all the way through. And it's not to say it's unrealistic, like, oh, we live, with rainbows and butterflies, but it's
cartwheels.
It's a choice of allowing something to eat you up and get you down, or to be appreciative and grateful of what you do have and pray for that next day. So I don't know, I feel so much of what you just said, because it's so true. I think if everybody could kind of get in line with health first, and then recognizing the next steps you have to take to multiply the outlets of your career, that right there, that strategy alone is going to be something that can, preserve a lot of longevity for you. So that's cool. Thank you for saying that. That's great.
Course. Yeah.
What would you say then? I'm gonna scroll through these. What would you say are some teaching tips for people that they're just getting started, or they maybe been teaching for a while and it hasn't been effective? Do you have teaching tips for people?
Yes.
I'm sure you.
Yes. The number one thing I have to say about teaching is you have to know either your counts or your musicality. If you do not know your musicality, if you don't know counts, fine. I think the counts are great. I'm a counter, but 90% of the time. But if you don't know counts, like, you need to know your musicality, because what happens with a lot of teachers, especially when they're starting out, as I realized, is they teach the moves. There's two parts of teaching. There's the moves and the execution, and then there's the timing. If you teach them at the same time, you're golden. People will get it. Right. But people sometimes teach the moves and they're like, you're going to go doom, 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 doom. And then all of a sudden they do with music and it's like cut, 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 cut or something, And it's like, wait, now I have to relearn something. So I feel like making sure those two things are together, and when you step into class, you know exactly what that musicality is, because I'm telling you, I've been in so many classes with like people that are starting to teach, and you're sitting there like looking at the teacher for like 3 minutes while they like cry. They're like, wait, played it. Did you guys hear that? Play it again. Did you guys? It's like, it's not our job to like hear it. It's your job to know. So I think that's a really, really number one thing that I've seen for people that are especially starting out teaching. That's definitely my number one for sure. And then just again, number two would just be like, make sure you have your training. We all need to have training. We all need to put in our work. You just need to put in your work, but I think that's just a given. And then two, do something different, be something new, do something fresh, find your own style, find your own voice, and practice at it for a bit. And I'm not saying you have to be perfect by the time you start teaching. I was not perfect in my heels. Holy shit. Looking back at my first heels pieces, I'm like, damn, I'm so much better now. But it's just, I still had something different and new to bring. So yeah, those two things I think for sure.
Those are really great tips, and they're just an essential part of like making a difference.
Yeah.
Really, like when you teach, I think that should also be a goal, is that you're improving the lives of people around you, and I think you can improve without the education. So knowing your stuff, and you get educated by studying, and you get educated by doing. So kind of recognizing how many steps go into the simplicity of just counting an 8 count. it's still, if you want to be great at it, there's a lot that goes into it. I feel that. Okay, so this is an important question because I think that I've gotten this. This is like, I think, my 5th live. I've gotten this question every single time.
Okay.
If somebody is 24, I mean, they haven't said the same age. If they're 24 years old, and they still pursue a career in dance as a professional dancer, and I get that all the time. What if I just started? What if I'm this age? What's your opinion on that?
It's definitely possible. But you're starting, let's be honest, you're starting the race a little bit later, so it's going to be harder. You're going to have to put in more work. But it's totally possible. I know people that have gotten good when they've started at 28. And, another thing about it is I do feel like if you're, depending on what you want to do, like, you have to kind of attack it in a more, you have to be more well-rounded as well. Like for example, I see girls that have come to my heels class that just started, and they just continuously take my class over and over again. And my class is hard. So you're going into an advanced class, which is awesome by itself, but that's all you're taking. You're not going to get the basics, and you're not going to improve. And then when these girls, I talk to, they're like, Nicole, how can I get better? When I talk to them, and then they start going to these more beginner classes, they start actually from the bottom while taking the advanced classes, their improvement is so much faster. So if you want to be a dancer, you have to do your research. You can't just go to Johnny Erasmi and think that you're going to get good just from taking his class. Like, you have to be smart, and you have to see what's working. You have to talk to the people that know and really take their advice. If you want to be an actual dancer, it's not just going to the hype classes or the people that you think are cool on Instagram. You have to do your training. You have to get the well-rounded. You have to go from the beginning, the basics, the easy classes, and then, I'm all for taking a bunch of classes, but you have to take that first step.
I feel that. No, and I think what you said about kind of working overtime is really important. So starting any career late, which in my opinion, it's getting younger and younger. It's I work with primarily the youth and stuff, so I'm seeing kids come out at like 8 years old, and I'm like, oh my God, they're so amazing. Like, how do they even understand how to move?
I can't either.
It's crazy, but
it's crazy.
You have to consider all those factors and not be discouraged. But if your motivation to succeed in it isn't higher than the people that started when they were 8 years old, I mean, you have to kind of figure for yourself. It's not impossible, but I think it's going to be unique.
Yeah, so, definitely.
But it's doable, and I mean, honestly, it's kind of it's one of those things that I think about too. Is like a lot of people go back to school, kind of late in life, and I think that if you want to switch careers or study something new, like, you should, especially if it's something you're passionate about. But recognizing how to succeed in it is really different than getting started in something.
Yes.
So, I think considering those factors is really important. Okay, so then what would you say is the most important thing? I'm sure you've casted, auditions before and stuff, but even just yourself as a dancer and stuff, what would be the most important thing in an audition that people should remember or apply?
Okay, let's see. I'm going to sound really traditional when I say this, but especially if you don't know the choreographer, you need to come with a picture, at least a headshot. It's so crazy that people that come, and I'm sorry, even if you're more of an OG, it's not even the fact of oh, I need so you know who I am. It's just being able to remember. If I'm having an audition, it's obviously for a reason. You know what I mean? So at least coming with a headshot. It's very hard to even if you're the best one there, it's still going to be hard to remember. And then I think doing it full out. This was something that I realized kind of later, which I wish I did. I'm such an internal learner where I just mark it in my head. But when you're under pressure and you're nervous, that doesn't really work as well, because then when you do it full out in front of them, you have all this built up energy. Your body doesn't have muscle memory. So I say being smart, obviously you don't want to be tiring yourself out after a 6-hour audition, but you need to do it full out and get used to that feeling of okay, my body is not just here because I'm marking it in my head. My body is actually going to be over here, because then when you do it full out and you're nervous, you're going to be wait, this doesn't feel like I did before, So I think doing it full out is definitely a big thing and stuff. And then also understand that when you're in an audition, you're not in a class video. Like, you're not, it's not, you know, like, you have to look pretty, especially for my females. Like, you have to look pretty. Like, you can be killing it, but if your face is making all this crazy stuff, like, that's not even 60% of the reason why you get hired is for what you look like. So make sure your face is like calm and pretty at all times. So when we're doing a music video, we cut to you for 2 counts. You're not going to be like doing some weird shit, you know, like just, I think that's another thing too, is like we get so caught up in the class videos that sometimes we like kind of take it into audition world, and it's not the same at all.
I totally feel that.
Yeah.
Trisha I was talking to Trisha last week, and she had such a great input on this question, was about also the energy you bring, like how important it is to allow your energy to like exceed even your dancing. Sometimes like it's about like, because some people are concerned like, well, I don't freestyle or I don't have a specialty, but she was saying like to compensate for those things, then what do you bring? You know, are you somebody that really energizes the room? Are you somebody that brings, you know, positive good vibes? Or are you somebody that's just super insecure because you don't have those things? You know, and I think that in combination, obviously, with the fact that this is a job, this is something.
Yes.
A lot of times you have to fit a certain look because it's just like actors or actresses or models. I mean, there are beautiful people that are casted for certain jobs just simply because it doesn't make sense for what, you know, the job was asking for. So recognizing how to grow thick skin is also so important.
Oh yeah, you have to forget about it.
If you're sensitive and you're not open to critique, I hate to break it to you, but I think that's going to be a setback in any career you choose.
Yes.
Because you're constantly going to be challenged and pushed that way, and you're constantly going to feel maybe a little bit down about how you dress or how you look or you know, whatever somebody said, or if you're good enough. But the important thing is that you go back to improve it, and you take it almost as a little bit of fuel to like outdo what people already thought of you. You know, that's for me typically how I like to push things. You know, if we don't do well in a competition, or if you know, the expectations are really high and we didn't meet those, it's easy to get discouraged, but it's just as easy to take that and work if it's important to you. You know?
That was something when I was auditioning. I feel like I'm such a person, like I can have 100 people, and 99 of the people can be like, that was amazing. It's that one person that's like, that I'm like, wait, like, what, you know, like, tell me no again, because I'll come out a lot stronger. And I feel like you kind of have to have that when you go through the auditions, because like you said, you're going to get told no a million times. Like, you have to be like, you have to almost like have that like anger of like, oh, no, okay, well, let's see next time, you know?
Right. So somebody asked how we know each other, and I think this is really funny because I was telling my girlfriend Sophie yesterday, she said, how do you guys know each other? And I was just like, you want to know what the funny thing is? So my kids did season 1 of World of Dance, and what I do is I try to concept all of their routines and stuff, and obviously I have a vision for what I want it to look like, but then I have to like fill it with the people that can actually make it happen and execute it. So I was kind of researching, I think one day, just on choreography and kind of the vibe we were going with and what we wanted to present for their audition tape. And I came across your video. I knew who you were, of course, but I saw it. It was at Millennium, and I came across the video, and I was like, this is so good, you know, and I was just like, I wonder if she would be down to let us use that content to came in and choreographed and helped us put together an audition. So I believe Carrie hit you up and we asked you like, hey, we love this piece. Could we kind of turn this into a set? You were like super cool, super down, and I think you were even out of town though. It was funny, right? You were out of town.
Wait, I felt so stupid because I remember being out of town. I had my assistant Christina like go and teach it to you guys, and I remember texting you like, I don't remember if it was you or both of you, and I was like, you know, I just try and like, you know, change the formation like every couple 8 counts. Like I was giving these basic as like things for staging, and then you're like, okay, like no worries, and I'm like, okay, and then you sent me the video of what it looked like, and I was literally blown away. I was like, I take back that comment of like trying to be like, oh, make sure you change formation stuff. You guys killed that piece, and I just remember being literally like, I feel so dumb for even saying that. I was like, they know what the hell they're doing.
I get it, because when it's your movement, you also have a vision for what you want it to look like. So someone butchering that is not cute, but it's kind of something that's if you know about the lab, you would know that we do a lot of these kind of collaborations. It's one of my favorite things to do, because I believe in variety and relationships for the kids too. That they're always interacting with new instructors, and we're always infusing things that aren't familiar. And I remember. Just being so grateful, because we get a lot of no's, and especially back then, it was before we had really kind of done it competitively, and people were just like, what? Or they don't really understand what it is. So I just remember being so grateful that you were so generous with it, and then you came in for a second routine. So she was one of the choreographers that worked with my kids on season 1 of World of Dance, which it was such a cool experience, because it was so brand new for all of us, but just being able to work with you through that. And then also, this is really cool, is that your range of knowledge from a studio dancer to a community dancer to an industry dancer, a choreographer too, is something that was so crucial for the way we create, because we are a community-based team first. That's something that you've come in and even helped us with our mega crews and stuff. And it's just like your knowledge, and that's you being on GRV, your knowledge of what that world looks like. It's not just great choreography, it's like the strategy for competition is so different. So that was a really cool way to start this kind of friendship, because it was just one of those things that it just works, you reached out, you responded, and then it ended up growing into something that was really cool.
I still get stressed every time I hear all I do is win. Every time that song comes in the club, I'm like, no, take it away. Oh God, that was such a fun experience though, bro. Thank you so much again for asking me. Like, I'm glad that we got to work together. Do you remember that when we originally had Logan and Trey doing it, and then you called me the day that you guys showed it to the judges, and like something happened. I wasn't there, but something happened, right? Where like Logan got hit on accident or something. And you were like, this was not a good look. We got to change it. And like the day before they shot it, you oh my God, I forgot the other boy's name. Isaac. You made Trey and Isaac be the opposites.
I think we were so in like this like zoned in little world of creating. It was so freaking stressful that we had actually ended up against each other, which was so stupid. But we didn't realize it was such a bad idea until one of I don't know, the assisting choreographers on the show was like, that might not be a good look, and we're like, you're probably right.
Oh my God, that was a
good time.
It was a good time.
So what is your go-to, especially with quarantine right now? And I know it's been everybody can agree whether you're having a great time or an awful time. It's challenging. But what are you using as motivation? Not just right now, but what's something you go to pull yourself out of something that feels negative or is dragging you down?
It's amazing what meditation can do. Like, it really, really, really is. Like, I don't even care, like, how hippie and shit that sounds. Like, I'm telling you, when you are feeling bad and you just, like, take a minute, it doesn't have to be this hour-long, meditation. It's just taking, like, even just 10 to 15 minutes to just breathe and clear your mind. Like, literally do not think of anything. Just clear your mind. Like, it literally will reset me back to square one. Because the way I kind of think about life is, like, you wake up, like, let's say you wake up day one with a good mood. Then something little happens, and you don't acknowledge it. It just happens, and it irritates you. Then something else happens. Something else. And it's by that time, like, the littlest tiny thing can just tip you over the top. And if you don't take the meditation time to get back to square one, like, you're just always going to be living in this, like, stressful environment. So just taking a couple minutes a day to just breathe, and even if you don't want to do it every day, even if you just get to those points where you're like, I'm not feeling good, I'm feeling in a bad mood, like, take those 10 minutes, 15 minutes, breathe, don't think about anything. Clear your mind. It's literally going to feel like a massage of your brain, and you're going to come out and your whole mood is going to change. And it's like that I've really been falling back on during this quarantine. And it's been very, very helpful because, you know, some days are better than others. I wake up feeling like, you know, I'm like, I just want out of here. Just take a second and I feel better. But then also just, you know, I try and like make puzzles. I like do puzzles or like color and stuff. So, yeah.
That's cool. No, I think centering your thoughts and yourself and all your energy is super important. And also, too, just reflecting on what you're grateful for, because the truth of the matter is somebody does have it worse, and we have to be appreciative of where we're at if we're looking for more. I think that's the starting point and the foundation of all your thoughts is just be grateful. What you have is enough, and if you want to acquire more, then you have to recognize what you already do have.
100%.
So, yeah, and I think for people, they're maybe unmotivated, too, because they're thinking that the motivation is almost like a sign from God, or this is something that just appears magically on your screen, or if you're looking, and it's not that. It's literally 100% powered by your thoughts and your energy.
Yes.
You know, your outcome is completely up to you.
Yes.
And I think that when you're feeling low, just as much as you're recognizing that you're low, you have to recognize how you work yourself out of that low, not just wait for it to all of a sudden be done for you. So I'm hoping people can know that even the successful people that we follow or people online that looks like everything is 100%, there's either, you know, A, two sides to that story, or B, there's a reason, you know, and I think that we can't overlook the fact that it's work, you know, we've got to work happy on these things, and especially when it's, you know, challenging. It's just like it is. We wake up every day with the stress and the, you know, the weight on your shoulders of like, how do I keep this up and how do I make it better? And the truth is you just have to find a way. You just have to keep searching until it starts to unroll for you. So,
yes.
Okay, this was actually a really good question that came through, and I think it's really actually relevant for everybody, creative or not, experienced or not. So I thought this was a cool thing to answer. How do you overcome fear or uncertainty when you're starting a project?
Well, I think when you start a project, you should be excited about it, right? I mean, I guess if we're talking about two different things, like when I do a creative project, it starts from nothing but inspiration and excitement to do it. So I feel like that overpowers like any kind of like stuck or like mental block. Like it's just, I'm so excited to do it that it's like nothing is really gonna stop that. But I do come in contact with that a lot when it's like a job that I'm like giving me a song that I like don't connect with or something like that. Then it gets a little bit more hard. But sometimes if it's a bigger project, you just need to like give it a second. Like you need to come back to it. It's like writing a paper. Sometimes if you read it over and over again, you don't even know what's going on anymore. You just need to like set it down for a sec and like come back later. And usually that just fixes it right away. But then there's also like a thing of just pushing through. And even if you're not 100% happy with it, like you just have to kind of sometimes push through it. And even if you hate your life at the moment, you just got to push through it because especially on a job, like the way I look at it is like, am I going to let this moment define me? No. Right. So I'm going to use my skill and all the skills and all my training that I've gotten over the years. And even if it's not my 100% best decision for whatever I'm going through, it's like, I just have to do something because I'm not going to let this win, you know? So, yeah, I guess hopefully that answers that. Sometimes you have to just push.
That's super in line with what I was thinking too. There's a competitiveness that kicks in, right?
Yes.
It's almost like your pride and the idea that you're not going to be, you know, outdone by like something that you are meant for. You're like, okay, no, I'm supposed to feel this challenge because it's supposed to be cool if I want it to be great.
Yes.
And then I think too, if you have fear about it or uncertainty, you might not have a deep enough connection as to why you're doing it. You might want to do it, and the excitement of doing it is what's pulled you in and lured you in. But if you don't have meaning connected to why we do things, then we can lose them really quickly. Because when something's meaningful to us, we do whatever it takes.
Yeah,
I have to have this happen, and this is what it means. So I think if you're starting a project and you're uncertain if it's going to be great, the idea of doing it because it means something to you can supersede that idea of it being great, because great is a process and great is multiple steps to getting there. So I think if you're a beginner starting out, you have to be connected to your why, and you have to be connected to what this means. And then if you're experienced in doing it and you've already had the meaning, you've already went through all those steps, you have to also reconnect to the idea that the new challenges are probably a way for you to not repeat what you've already done.
Right, right.
And that's a difficult cycle to be in, because people they get to that top and they're like, yeah, we got a lot of first places right here, but
there was
how many times did you hit first?
Yeah,
How
exactly.
long did you hit first for?
Right.
That is very, very, very difficult to do, and the only way to do that is to continuously reinvent and question yourself on connecting to new meanings or connecting to things that are bringing impact and value. And then it's also on the idea of how much you're willing to work to get that outcome. And it's those challenges that are your wake-up calls. Those are the things knocking on the thing and saying, hey, do you really want it that bad? A lot of times we see it as we're not good enough, but the question is really just, do we want it bad enough, you know?
And it's also the fact of, like, if it was that easy, there literally wouldn't be enough room, you know? So it's also the world and God or whatever you believe in. It's their way of being like, well, how bad do you want it? Because being out in LA for 7 years, I'm sure you've seen this, you see the people that come out here and they leave. And that's not even any hate. Like, that's not any shade or anything. It's just some people aren't meant for it, you know? And if you, like you said, if you want it bad enough, you're willing to get through anything to show that you're here and you need to take up space and you're here for the long run, you know? And it's like if everybody that had that instant inspiration of, like, I'm going to be a dancer, and then moved to LA and it just worked for everybody, it's just not, it's not going to happen. So
I feel that.
Yeah.
No, it's so true. And I'm a pretty tough coach when I'm working with my kids, but the truth of the matter is they have a choice, you know? You sign up for this, it's because you're committed to reaching the highest standard possible. And if that's not for you, if you're okay with, you know, 70 and 80% of your energy invested, fine, but you can't be connected to a team and get that sort of result, because I'm at 100.
Yeah, right, 100%.
So, you know, it is. I say that oftentimes, that competition ain't for everybody, you know, and this career isn't for everybody. It's definitely for, you know, the ones that have the grit, the thick skin, the willpower, the passion, the drive. I mean, if you can't checklist more than 10 things about what it means to you or what you're looking to do for it, somebody else will, you know, and that's the harsh reality of it. But it's also the thing that pushes us to not be standard and not to just be mediocre. And I think all of us would agree if you asked us, like, hey, what do you want to be? You want to be mediocre today? And nobody's going to raise their hand.
Right.
We're willing to work mediocre.
But who's willing,
to push us further. So, you know, just deposit exactly what you're trying to withdraw, you know? So, cool. This has been, like, super exciting. Do you mind if I pull some questions from...
No, let's do it.
Okay.
Some of these comments have me weak. They will pop up a little bit. They're funny.
Okay. I've answered a couple of these. Hey, thanks for all the questions, guys. These are really good. Okay, I'm going to go with this one. So what is your biggest
inspiration on dancing and teaching? Okay, sorry, it froze for a sec. I mean, this might sound kind of basic, but just music. You know that moment where you find, like, a new song or something and you're just like, oh my God, like, I have to create to this. That's definitely, I just think the connection to music is one of my biggest things, for sure. And then the ideas just kind of start flowing from there most of the time. But inspiration, like, I don't know. I just feel like that's my biggest one. Or feeling, like, I know that I've created some really good pieces on, like, things that I've gone through during my life. So, like, I swear some of my greatest pieces is just from, like, being upset about something, and I just, like, want to put that out there in some kind of creative way. Yeah, I'm a water sign, so it's all about the feeling and the connection. So, yeah, probably that.
No, I think that's cool though, because that's for everybody. If dance is an expression, so if you've got something to say that you don't possibly have the right way to let it out, I mean, knitting is always one of those therapeutic things that can make a difference. It can make a difference in your mood, and it can make a difference for somebody watching it that can relate to it too.
Yeah, yes, okay, exactly. Because I can't be explaining my emotions sometimes. I'm like,